Good morning, Cardinal Nation. I am your host, Nicoletti Delioso, on this Friday edition of the Morning Pursuit Call. So, welcome. Here at Cardinal, we begin again, we promote peace of mind, and we pursue excellence. So, speaking of that, actually, let's see here. Let's mute a couple people just to kick it off. Here we go. Mute you. All right. We pursue excellence. So speaking of that, man, we are having one of the best weeks we've had on the at least the daily stats in a very long time. We track that stuff. Kind of we look at where our weeks are, you know, after Monday or Monday and Tuesday, Monday through Thursday, compared to other weeks, so we can kind of really predict where we're at essentially. And man, you guys are doing awesome out there. A lot of people producing, a lot of people producing well. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for this stretch of consistency that we've had. It seems like for gosh, 4 or 5 months now. We've had a lot of consistency with a production level that's been, it's elevated and it's higher than normal. And that is simply because of activity, right? We are getting more consistent activity on a more consistent basis. And the more that you get consistent activity, voila, correlation, you get more premium, right? And what is the simplest way to guarantee consistent activity? The simplest way to guarantee it against the natural human tendency to lean towards no activity, I guess. The natural human state is to uh, have as little output as possible. And that's a natural thing to kind of conserve energy and conserve mental well-being, right? But what is the simplest way to combat the human nature? It's getting appointments, right? Having set places to be, and that gets people out of the house and it creates consistent, regular activity. And so because of that, we've had a lot of, if you look at our combined activity for the last, several months, it's the highest we've ever had as far as just pure activity when you combine door knocks and appointments. And that's because of the consistent appointments. That's something that we wanted to basically duplicate across the entire agency is lots of appointments, right? We looked at the data, and the conclusion is all top producers, especially that's been producing at a high level and been here for a long time, they all have appointments every single week. Pretty simple stuff. Have set places in your schedule to be, and you will write a lot more business. So obviously, that's why we developed our appointment setting, suite, I guess you can say. We made it to where, we tried so many dialers, right? We tried all the dialers that you could think of that are out there. Almost all of them use pretty low quality telecom on the back end. They use this large telecom provider, and they basically resell telecom. So we sought out to build our own dialer so that we have full control and it functions the way we want. And we bring in our own high quality telecom. We bring in a boutique telecom where it's, they don't take a lot of clients. And so it, if you take a lot of clients on your network, connection quality is really bad, right? But if you're more selective about who you bring on, and you're bringing on higher quality calling, then your whole network connects better, right? And so that's what we wanted. We wanted to be on a more selective telecom that we could bring into our own system. And that's why we get such high connection rates. And just looking at some of our agents that try to produce the same results outside of our dialing system, They get roughly, some of them get roughly the same results, but at a much higher cost, right? And then a lot of them get lower results. But anyways, we're very excited about that system. So let's see. Speaking of pursuing excellence, let's minimize this. Let's roll into it. Let's get into today's piffers. All right. Let's roll into it. So today's piffers, producers in field out there getting it. We've got getting on the board. Kilo Marquez on the board, one application. We've got Taylor Hofford getting on the board. Juan De La Vega getting on the board from yesterday. We got Mr. Ian Penzato getting on the board, putting together a very nice little week there. Mr. Zach Benavides getting on the board. Ivan Sola on the board. Mr. Pablo Martinez getting on the board. Anthony Price over 1,000 couple apps. Mr. Robert Dykes creating a super consistent week out here, over 1,100 on two. We've got Mr. Bradley Winger, newer agent, golf clap. Newer agent out there being very consistent. 1,600, almost 1,700 on the board from yesterday. Mr. John Ferguson over 2,000. We've got Mr. Nate Alberts over 2,100 from yesterday. We got Mr. Justin Duncan, 4 applications on 3 presentations, so over 100% closing. Mr. Justin Duncan, great work. Over 2,100 on from yesterday. We got Eric Nicholson over 3,000 from yesterday. And so far, from the stats that we've gotten and collected so far, Mrs. Amber Lewis, 3,500 on 2, 5 appointments from yesterday. All right, let's look at the week so far. So like I said, this is one of our better weeks that we've had, at least from the start, right? Now, obviously, this isn't the complete view of the stats. We don't have everybody's stats. This is daily self-reported, right? But it gives us a good idea of how the week will end up eventually when it's all said and done. All right, 3,000 and up. Let's go honorable mention, Mr. Ivan Sola Freitas. Honorable mention, Chris Howard. Honorable mention, Pablo Martinez. Honorable mention, getting very close to that 3,000 mark after, some of the week, not all of the week. We've got a day left or a couple days left. We've got Mr. Marvin Lee out there getting it on 3, over 3,000. Mr. Anthony Price over 3,000 on 6. Mr. Michael Del Rey over 3,000 on 5. Taylor Hofford over 3,500 on 5. We got Miss Stacy Durr over 3,600 on 4. We've got Jonathan Henderson over 3,600 on 4. Mr. Justin Duncan we've got over 3,600 on 6. Mr. Brooke Peterson over 3,700 on 6. Mr. Courtney Hunt over 4,000 on 4 so far. We've got Mr. John Ferguson over 5,000 on 6. Mr. Zach Benavides almost 5,800 on 4. We've got Miss Amber Lewis close to 6,000 on 8 applications, 80% closing. There we go. Mr. Bradley Winger over 6,400 on 5. For the week so far, we got Mr. Brooks Collins over 6,800 on 4. Mr. Ian Penzato right under 7,000 on 5 so far. We've got Mr. Trevor Britton over 8,500 on 8 so far. He's also at 80% closing. Mr. Eric Nicholson over 11,000 on 10. Great work, Mr. Eric Nicholson. Almost, over 80% closing. There you go. We got Mr. Nate, the Great Alberts, 12,216, 13 applications on 16 presentations, and not number 1 with his insurance and his insurance accessories. He's number 2. And number 1, Mr. Robert Dykes, over 13,500 on 8. With his insurance and his insurance accessories, Mr. Robert Dykes, over 13,000. There we go, on 10 presentations, 16 appointments, 32 door knocks, over 25 hours in the field so far. The week is not done. He's got more to do. And obviously, he doesn't have the number one spot completely locked down. You never know with Mr. Nate Alberts. He might sandbag some premium and throw it in there at the very last minute. Eric Nicholson is right there at 11,000. And then the wild card, Trevor Gritton, could write 6,000 today. So let's see. We will see how it ends up, but it is shaping up to be a fairly solid week so far. All right, let's roll into some of the meat and potatoes of the presentation here of the Friday morning pursuit call. Obviously, if you are joining us or checking us out, we do this every single day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9. And we try to jam pack it with useful tactical knowledge and not only from just, you know, me, Quentin, and Pedro, but from we have other agents come on and share. I typically do a kind of a bird's eye view, overview, state of the union type of call, usually for Fridays. But I do mix it up. Looks like we have a lot of people packed in here. Good to see you guys. Let's roll into. I want to continue some of our discussions we've had the last couple of Fridays. Okay. First thing I want to hit on is the chargeback reducer. Okay, if you are new or if you are experienced, you need to be using it. It's free. We pay for all of the cost to administrate the chargeback reducer is 100% free for anybody that works with us. And it's silly to not use it. We've seen for American Amicable, we've seen our not taken rate before we started using the chargeback reducer. It was close to 30%. Not taken early laps, close to 30%. After the chargeback reducer, that's dropped to right under 20%. Okay. So it's just insane the difference it's had. It is absolutely insane. And if you're not using it, because it is a free tool, you're just lighting money on fire because that those policies that you don't put in there will just make you less money over time. Just because you write something and get it in advance doesn't mean anything. It needs to pay for 9 months at a minimum. Obviously, we want it to pay for a lot longer than that. But at a minimum, to pay back your advance, it's got to pay for 9 months. And that's what the chargeback reducer was designed to help with. So, what does it do? Proactive policy retention activity done on your behalf. It is not reactive activity. What is reactive activity? Somebody calls the carrier to cancel, and because they cancel, you react with a call to them, right? That's not what this is. This is proactive. Right when the relationship is established, we are sending them a thank you card. Okay. We're sending them a thank you card that's handwritten. It's all done for you. All this is done for you. Handwritten thank you card um, from you to your client. Also, a welcome text. The next day, welcome text saying, hey, there's a thank you card on the way. They get a thank you card. They also get 6 payment reminders that happen before each payment for the first 6 months of their policy. Okay. That same number that we text them on, if they have questions and call that number back, we have a 24/7 answering service that will take the call. And then they will answer, simple questions on your behalf, whether it's through text or call. If they need to elevate it to the agent, they will transfer it to the agent, or we will let the agent know what's going on. So there's just a lot of stuff done on the agent's behalf to increase this relationship, the persistency and placement, right? All this is done for free on your behalf. Use it. Okay. All right. Let's roll into just continuation of last week. Yeah. So I had covered some stuff about replacements. I want to just dive a little deeper, a little further into it. We talked about how to present replacements. Essentially, you want to present it with a couple basic options. You always want to present it just in a simple list. Their current situation or their current policy is always one of those options. So, Miss Jones, here's kind of your options for your final expense. Uh, for all your final expenses, right? This includes upgrading with your current company and also looking into potential updated coverages with other companies, right? But here's kind of your options. So this is after you've successfully extracted policy data. You've had them go get their policy, or you call, and you get all the policy facts, right? Then you present the options. You want to always present their option as one of the options for them to do with their final expenses, because you want to show it side by side with the other options. And if they actively pick something other than their own policy, that is saying a lot. That's saying, I obviously can see the logic in this, and I, I don't even want to pick my own policy, right? So that's why we show it side by side like that. Their policy is one option, and then typically, if there is no cash value, you're just showing, a couple different coverage amounts with better overall rates per thousand, right? Or you're showing, if there is cash value, you're showing a cash value option, couple options there with getting their cash back. Or you might also show an RPU. Okay. So I wanted to dive deeper into just a little bit of the details when it comes to those different options. First of all, though, like, the rhythm of a replacement is really, I think, I hear agents say a lot, like, these clients, they don't want to change their policy, right? They're happy with the agent they've got. They've paid all this money into it. They don't want to mess with it, right? You hear all those things all the time. And it is extremely rare for you to show up to somebody's place, um, and then be like, "Hey, I've got a policy looking to see if I can have you replace it." That's just not something that happens a ton, right? And so people are going to naturally have disinterest with replacing their policy, right? They will naturally have disinterest until they have interest. I know that sounds really simple and kind of dumb, but that is the truth. They're going to be disinterested until they're interested. Just expect that. And what do I mean by that? Yeah, so the default mode is, I don't want to mess with it, right? And I think that's what a lot of agents struggle with, is they immediately hear somebody give all this resistance, even when they bring up the notion of potentially looking at other coverage. Um, they just hear like, "Oh, I'm good. I got that taken care of." And they hear that so much, they believe it. Like, man, it's so hard. I can't replace I can't get people better, even though I have better products. I can't. They don't care. You know. Of course, they don't care. They don't have any reason to care. Right? They have no reason to. You've given them no reason to care. The only way that they're going to care is you give them a reason to be interested, right? And what does that take? It takes the facts. You've got to get the facts of the policy. They're always going to believe they have this incredible policy in their mind that is 3 times as much coverage as it actually is for half the cost that it actually is. That's just how they operate. They always want these great policies, but that's just because they want it. It doesn't mean they have it. So you have to get the policy facts either from the printed policy itself or from the carrier. And then you can actually make them interested, because they can then see exactly what their policy is. There could be some holes in it. Oh, it's actually half of what they thought. Huh. Maybe I don't have as good as what I got, or it's twice as much. They're paying twice as much as they thought. Or they have a loan, right? Or it's a 2-year wait. But you have to get the facts to even compare. And if you get the facts and you're able to uh, grab one of our products and present something that's clearly better, now there's no doubt in what you're saying and what's being presented. And that's where somebody changes from disinterest to interest. It's kind of an art form, but you have to wade through that awkward moment a handful of times before you feel that transfer of interest with a replacement. You just got to get through it a couple times and you're like, oh, I get it. These people will replace this stuff if I do X, Y, and Z. If I get them to a point to where facts and coverage is compared really side by side and simply, they will replace this stuff. And then your conviction goes way up that you're actually helping people get a lot better coverage. And you know that if you just get the facts, there's a good chance you're going to help that person. And so conviction rises. And once your conviction rises with replacements, replacements become much more enjoyable. Once you have that belief that if you just get through this little awkward little moment of resistance and you get through that and you're able to get the fact, if you just fight through that, you know, you have the conviction like, I just got to get to the other side of this, and this can potentially be really easy. But after you do it a couple times, you've got to get those skins on the wall to where you have that conviction and belief. Okay. And so I talked to some agents that are, they're quite a ways into their career and they're still struggling with this. And that is as simple as it is. It's it's spearing right through that disinterest, pleasantly, obviously, pleasantly and persistently spearing through that disinterest to get on the other side where you can find interest. But you got to expect resistance. Sales is sales, guys. People don't just lay down and make things easy for you. That's why we get paid. That's why these insurance companies pay us such high commissions. They don't want to do all this stuff. They don't want to deal with all this stuff we're dealing with. It's valuable what we do. And it's not supposed to be easy. But that's why you get paid. But if you can learn to fight through that and you could learn to transfer or convert this disinterest into interest at scale, then the job becomes really enjoyable and fun and a lot easier, So, all right, let's go into these different options here. I've got 1 minute left. Let me do this quickly. Okay. I kind of ran out of time. I'm going to go over a little bit. So, let me go into this. There's actually four different outcomes that can happen with a replacement. Okay. I'm going to talk about each one of them really quickly. There's a cancellation, right? So there's cancellation, meaning there is no cash value. You're just getting them a better rate and you are stopping the draft and the policy cancels on its own and sunsets on its own, right? We don't want to completely stop or cancel the policy until ours is in effect. We don't want any gaps in coverage, so we stop draft. That doesn't cancel the policy. That changes it to monthly or quarterly billing to where they have no gaps in their coverage, and then the policy sunsets/cancels on its own. So that is certainly one way. That's one outcome on a replacement situation. Another outcome is cash value. They have cash value. They want the cash. You're able to at least match the coverage and premium they already have. But the benefit is they get cash in their pocket. It's not a loan, it's theirs. They can spend it on what they want. So cash value means policy is ending, but they're cashing it out, right? That is another way to end a policy and replace it. Obviously, any one of these options, like you have to be upgrading them, getting them in a better situation. You never want to you never want to get people in a bad, worse situation. That's obviously it's always got to be a move up, win-win. But cash value is one way, RPU is another way. What is RPU? Reduced paid up. It's a column right there in your policy. Reduced paid up is another way, it's another angle to replace a policy. So let's say cash value is 1,200, right? So you could get them a new policy and then 1,200 in cash back. Let's say RPU is 2,500 or 2,400, right? That means you can utilize that RPU to where they don't have to cancel their current coverage. So you can tell them, we're not canceling your coverage. We're turning it into paid up insurance for the rest of your life. And then we're reinvesting this new premium into a modern carrier with updated rates. So what does that do? That can upgrade the amount of premium you can get them without any cost. You can get them a lot more coverage without any cost. And and then reinvest the old premium. And for the same amount of monthly premium, you can increase their overall final expense portfolio, right? So it's a reduced amount of paid up insurance that they've already earned because of the premiums they've already paid. So if somebody requests a paid up policy, they owe no more premiums. They're covered for that amount of insurance for the rest of their life. They're covered forever with that. It's whole life, but for a reduced amount. That's what they've earned by paying their premiums. So they owe nothing else. That frees that premium up to go invest in a new modern policy with updated rates, right? So very, very simple stuff. Okay. The last way is paid up term. Okay. This is rare. Paid up term is rare, but there is some situations where you can beat the person's rate, even if they have a 2-year wait policy, right? Or even if all you can get them is a policy with a waiting period. It's very rare, but sometimes you can beat their rate. Now, if there's a 2-year wait in your policy, what's the problem there? Gap in coverage, right? Well, paid up term insurance is another way to do that. Somebody could have, you'll see in the policy, it's the same type of chart. Extended term insurance is usually what it's called. If you have an extended term insurance in there, you can see it in the policy. Okay, you're in year 4. Extended term is, um, you know, 800 days, right? Extended term is 800 days. That means that policy, if you convert it into extended term, it'll be in full force with that full coverage amount for 800 days. So that gives them enough time to have your policy go into full effect. So again, you've got a policy that is a 2-year wait. They have full coverage right now. Very rare scenario, but your 2-year wait can beat what's in full force right now for them. If there is extended term, you can say, all right, well, this current policy that's in force, extended term, where as long as it's got extended term for 2 years, then it'll be that full coverage amount guaranteed for 2 years. And then by that time, your 2-year wait policy will be in force. I know that's probably a new one that a lot of y'all haven't heard, but that's more rare, but it is an angle to replace. It can work. Okay. All right, we are 6 minutes over time, guys. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Man, I'm excited about the weeks ahead, what's going on with Cardinal Senior Benefits right now. I feel like we're not just embarking on a new chapter, it's a whole new book. And it's gonna be awesome to see what you guys can do. Y'all have an awesome weekend. Start gearing up for an awesome next week. It's a shorter week. We've got New Orleans meeting. But get extra leads, work extra hard. We'll catch everybody Monday morning. See ya.